While at supper with the school staff, Don Bosco abruptly became serious and, turning to the director, whispered, "At this moment, at the entrance of the second playground, there are 2 boys by the water fountain who should be supervised. Send somebody there at once to tell them to join their companions." The director quickly sent a young cleric, who came back and said there was nobody by the water fountain but 2 boys who were coming from that direction. I asked them where they had been, and they answered, "At the fountain." Privately, after night prayers, Don Bosco whispered a word to each in his ear. They blushed and, admitting their fault, promised to do better. Don Bosco made sure that the boys went to confession the next day. It was clear that God favored Saint John Bosco with heavenly insight. In today's episode, I'll discuss an incredible vision that he received in August of 1880 that might well be entitled The Mysterious Banquet. The Miracles and Prophecies of Saint John Bosco, a project of America Needs Fatima. I'm your host, Matthew Miller. Subscribe for new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don Bosco narrated his dream on the evening of August 10th at the novices' spiritual retreat. He said, "I dreamt that I was here at San Benigno," which is strange because we usually dream of being elsewhere in different circumstances. "I was in a large hall, somewhat bigger than our own dining room. It was brightly lighted, and I thought, can this be Father Barbaros's doing? Where could he have dug up all the money? Many boys were sitting at the several tables, but nobody was eating. When I walked in with another man, they all picked up their bread as though about to eat. The hall was very beautifully lit up, but no one could tell where the light came from. The silverware, tablecloths, and napkins were so dazzlingly white that by comparison, even our cleanest linen would seem dirty. Everything shone so brightly and beautifully that I was sure I must be dreaming, and I thought, this is certainly a dream. Never could we afford such luxury at San Benigno. Yet here I am, and I'm not asleep." Meanwhile, I looked up and noted that the boys weren't eating. "What's wrong? Why aren't they eating?" I asked. At this, they all began to eat. Among the boys, I could identify many from our schools, and some who are now here on retreat. Puzzled, I asked my companion what it all meant. "Give me your attention," he replied, "and you will know." As I was speaking, the light became ever more intense. I was trying to understand this when a throng of very handsome-looking boys, bright as angels, suddenly appeared from nowhere holding lilies and borne along above the tables. At this sight, the other lads immediately rose to their feet and stood watching with joy. The angelic-featured youngsters were now handing out lilies, and those who received them were likewise borne aloft. I recognized the boys who had lilies, and they were so comely and resplendent that I couldn't imagine anything lovelier in heaven. I asked what the lilies symbolized, and I was told, "Haven't you many times extolled the beautiful virtue of purity?" "Yes," I said, "I have, and I also earnestly tried to instill it into my boys' hearts." "Well then, the lads holding a lily are those who were able to preserve it," my companion explained. I was truly bewildered. While I stood speechless, another throng of boys appeared, this time holding roses. They too were being borne along above the tables and were handing out roses. When a boy received one, his face immediately beamed with splendor. I again asked my companion the meaning of this. "They are the boys who are aflame with God's love," he answered. I then noticed that their foreheads all bore their names in gold letters. No sooner did I move forward to see and record their names than they all instantly disappeared. The light too went out, and I was left in semi-darkness. I then noticed that the lads who had received neither lily nor rose had features as scarlet as fire. I also saw others who were trying to pull themselves up a slimy rope hooked to the ceiling, but all in vain, for the rope always sagged, and they kept sliding down to the floor in a heap of mud. Dumbfounded to see anything like this in the dining hall, I insisted that I be told what it meant. "The rope is a symbol of confession. Those who can grip it firmly will certainly reach heaven. These boys still keep going to confession and use this rope to lift themselves up, but they receive the sacrament without the necessary dispositions. Their sorrow and resolve are feeble. Consequently, they cannot pull themselves up. The rope keeps sagging as they try to lift themselves up, They keep sliding down and are always at ground level. I wanted to take down the names of these boys also, but hardly had I written 2 or 3 names down when they all vanished. Even the dim light disappeared, and I was left in total darkness. In the midst of that darkness, however, I could make out an even more heart-rending sight. Some dejected-looking boys had hideous serpents coiled about their necks, the snake's tail resting on the boy's heart, the head facing each wretched lad's mouth as though ready to sting his tongue should he ever open his lips. These boys' features were terrifyingly hideous, their eyes wild, their mouths contorted, and their stance menacing. All a-tremble, I again asked what this meant. "Can't you see?" I was told. "The ancient serpent is doubly coiled around these wretches' throats to keep them from confessing their sins, and poisoned fangs are ready to sting them should they open their lips." Poor boys. Could they only speak, they would make a good confession, and the devil would no longer have sway over them. But they clam up. They clam up with shame. They repeatedly go to confession and never dare to rid their hearts of poison. Then I said to my companion, "Tell me their names so that I can remember them." "Yes, write them down," he answered. "But there's no time," I objected. "Go on, write." I managed to jot down only a few names because all the boys vanished. My companion then said, "Go tell your boys to be on guard. Explain what you have seen." "Give me a sign," I asked, "to make me know clearly whether this is a dream or an actual warning that the Lord is giving my boys." "All right," he answered, "just watch." A brilliant light again flooded the hall, and once more I saw the boys with lilies and roses. The light kept increasing in its intensity, and I could see the happiness of those boys as a heavenly joy irradiated their faces. I looked with indescribable surprise as the light kept intensifying until it burst into an awesome roar of sound. It jolted me out of my sleep, and I became so exhausted that even now I still feel I have no strength. Make what you wish of this dream. As for me, I find something believable in it. Yesterday evening and today, I did some testing which confirmed that my dream was not merely a dream. Only God's extraordinary mercy can save some miserable wretches. Thank you all so much for watching. If you'd like to hear a story about purgatory, just click on the link above me here. God bless you, and Our Lady keep you.